What's up, y'all? Today I'm here with my Walking Dead Part 2 predictions video for the Walking Dead Season 5 trailer that has been just released like 2 days ago, if I can't remember. But yeah, let's get started. Now, this video will contain major spoilers from the Walking Dead comic book. Again, this video will contain major spoilers from the Walking Dead comic book. So if you're not a comic book reader, if you're not a comic book reader and you want to read the Walking Dead comic book, then this video is it's not for you. Because I don't want to spoil you at all. Now, if you are not a Walking Dead comic book reader and you don't care about reading the Walking Dead comic book at all, and you just want to watch the TV show, but also if you don't want to be spoiled because you know some of the events that happen in the comic book does happen in the TV show, then this video is not for you. But if you just don't care overall, then hey, watch the video. So now, let's get started. Now, something I knows about in this trailer. Garrett, again, Garrett is Chris. Chris, again, for some of you who aren't comic book readers, Chris is the leader of the hunters that's in the comic book. Now, in this trailer pretty much confirmed Garrett was Chris. Because look at, or better yet, Garrett has on the same exact jacket that Chris had on in the Walking Dead comic book. I am not lying to you. Matter of fact, go to Google and put Chris in. And look at Chris' jacket. You're gonna see Chris with the rest of the people in the background. You're gonna see Chris. Chris is gonna have on a all black jacket with white stripes going with one white stripe going down on each side on his right arm and his left arm. Now, look at the Walking Dead Season 5 trailer. Look at Garrett's jacket. Garrett has on a black jacket, white stripe on white long stripe on his right arm, and a white long stripe on his left arm. The same exact jacket from Chris from what Chris wears in the comic book. The same exact jacket. Another thing I noticed, it has another scene that we saw in the trailer for season 5. In this scene that we saw is Sasha talking. Well, we see Sasha in the woods and it's completely dark, middle of the night. If you can see somebody come from behind and grab Sasha by her mouth and kind of pull her into the woods some more, or drag her into the woods even more. Now, the person that we see, we can't see him very good, but well, because he has on a all black hoodie, so we can't see his face that good. Now, in the Walking Dead comic book, it has a guy in the hunters group with an all black hoodie, and he always keep it tied up on the top of his head, and it's very tied up and it's very tight on his head, just like the guy that we saw who had took Sasha and dragged her into the woods when he grabbed her by her mouth in the Walking Dead TV series. Again, in the Walking Dead comic book series, the hunters that's in the Walking Dead comic book, it's a guy who wears a black hoodie. Now, if you think I'm lying, again, go to Google, just go to Google and check it out. This guy, his name in the I'm talking about in the comic book, the guy name was Charlie. Charlie was the guy who was part of the hunters and he always had on a hoodie. Now, in the TV series, we see a man take Sasha and he grab her by her mouth and he has on a hoodie, just like Charlie had on in the Walking Dead comic book. So that's Charlie who had took Sasha. So that right there confirms again that hunters is the hunters. It's them. Now I want to discuss something else because AMC always do this, and I don't really know if they're trying to fool us and try to trick us for some reason, but I don't know. But I want to talk about it. We see a scene of Garrett talking, and it's very dark, or it's a very dark scene, and we can see some light. Some light that's kind of shining towards Garrett while he's talking in the middle of the night. and we also see a scene of Rick. We also see a scene of Rick. So AMC take these scenes and they try to add them together and try to have us think that these people are in one place at the same time. Are they under the same roof at the same time? That is not possible, because why would Rick have Garrett with him? Well, have Garrett and his people with him when Rick has a newborn baby when Rick has a newborn baby that he thought was dead, but now he got her back. He has a son, and he also has a group of people that he care about at the same time. So why would he have Garrett in a church house with him? That don't make no sense. And I see what AMC tried to do with that by trying to, I think they tried to fool us and try to have us think that Garrett and Rick was both in the church at the same time. When our reality, when we saw Garrett talking, when we saw Garrett talking about joining forces and stuff and heading to Washington D.C., he was actually in the woods. He was probably sitting on the log by. He was probably sitting on the log by a fire that they had started, because in the comic book, the hunters had lived. They lived outside, and I think they had tents. Yeah, the hunters lived outside and they had tents, and they always had a fire burning outside to keep them warm and stuff. And also they used the fire to help them cook human body parts. So Garrett is not in a church with Rick. Garrett and his people are actually outside of the church, in the woods, and Garrett is by a fire. That's the reason why we see light coming towards them and stuff. We can see light reflecting on him and stuff, because he's by a fire. He's not in the church house with Rick. I guarantee you, he's not. And also, I want to talk about this scene because in this trailer we see Garrett talking, and for some reason, a lot of people think that Garrett and Rick will join together to head to Washington D.C., because that's how AMC had did the clips. They try to make it seem like they was going to join each other, because like I said, we saw Garrett talking, and then right next to that scene we saw Rick, and then they try to act like he was talking towards Rick, which he really wasn't. And it's right here is what I mean. Okay, when the trailer first came on, we saw Garrett investigating Rick in the empty warehouse, and it had everybody else in there. Also, I think that Sam is the guy from season 4. Sam was the guy that Rick had gave his watch. Rick had gave Sam his watch and stuff to check the time. And Sam ends up, I don't know what happened to Sam, because last time in season 4, we never found out what happened to Sam, because Rick had gave Sam his watch. And then later on, Rick and Carol ends up finding Annie's body, because Annie was with Sam. They was lovers, and they end up finding Annie's body and not Sam's body. And Sam and Annie had left the house together, but they only end up finding Annie's body, and they also end up finding her leg is amputated, and the rest of her body is getting eaten by zombies, but we never see Sam again. So a lot of people came up with speculation that Sam was probably dead. I don't think that's true, because I think that Sam, because when season 5 trailer start, like I say, we see Garrett in a warehouse, and you have a whole bunch of people gagged. They have their mouth gagged, and they all locked up. And I think one of those people that was gagged, that mouth was gagged up, was Sam. So I think Sam did go to tournaments, because like I say, after his girlfriend died, he probably found one of those tournament signs too. So he probably hit it there too. So I definitely think the guy looked just like Sam. He looked just like him. But back to what I was saying about Garrett and heading to Washington D.C. for a cure. Now, when Bob was telling Garrett this, you can see how Garrett thought he was bullshitting. Excuse me for my language. Because after, well, in one scene we see Garrett looking in Rick's face. And you can tell the way he was looking at Rick, he was kinda trying to make him angry by intimidating him or mocking him. And you can see how Bob is right next to Rick, but you can see how Bob's head is down now. Prior to that, Bob's head was up and he was talking to Garrett, trying to tell him about Washington D.C. about Washington D.C. He was trying to tell him about Eugene and about how Eugene had a cure. But like I said, later on, you see Garrett looking in Rick's face, but yet next to Rick is Bob, but you don't see Bob's head up. So I'm assuming that possible Garrett had got one of his men to knock Bob out because he thought all the stuff that was coming out of Bob's mouth was BS. He didn't believe Bob. That's the reason why I think he had Bob knocked out. So if you don't believe me, go back to the trailer, season 5 trailer, watch it. And like I said, go to that scene where Garrett is staring Rick in his face, grinning. Look right next to Rick. You will see Bob, and you will see Bob is not active. He's not moving at all. You don't see his head moving. I think Garrett got one of his men to knock him out again because Garrett thought the stuff that was coming out of Bob's mouth was BS. He didn't believe him. But yet, later on in the trailer, you see Garrett talking about heading to Washington D.C. to get a cure. But also, let me add this. After he investigated them, he threw Rick and Bob right back into the train cargo. Also, Glenn, he threw them right back into the train cargo because the picture that had got released by AMC in May, it was a picture released by AMC, and Rick had a big old blood stain on the side of his temple. And you can see Rick coming out the train cargo. It's like somebody opened up the door for him. You can see Rick coming out with a big old blood stain on the side of his temple. Now, when Garrett was investigating Rick in that warehouse, Rick had that same blood stain on the side of his temple. So that right there tells you that Garrett threw him back in the train cargo. Because before he had investigated them, Rick didn't have that blood on the side of his temple. Rick got that blood on the side of his temple after they had smoked out that train cargo with sleeping gas, and they had pulled him out because in the trailer, when you see them pulling them out, you can see how Rick is wrestling with them because Rick's mouth is still gagged. It's still gagged, and you can see how Rick is still fighting. Although he's still going to sleep, he's still fighting. You can see them wrestling with Rick because you can see how they have Rick back hands tied up. And Rick didn't have that stain then. Rick got that stain after they did what they did to him. Or maybe he got that thing after they pulled him out that train cargo and he was wrestling, so maybe they hit him and stuff to get him to come down. But like I said, if Garrett would have believed Bob, he would have never threw him back in that train cargo. Or he would at least headed out. Or he would have never had Bob knocked out like that. So it's obvious he didn't believe Bob at all. He thought it was BS. So back to what I was saying about him in the woods talking to some people. Now he's telling these people, I guarantee you he wasn't talking to Rick when he said this, because he says he said you can either join us. He says you don't have no choice. You can join us and go to Washington D.C. and get a cure for this thing, and that's pretty much it. Stops right there. So if he so tell me this, if he didn't believe Bob then when Bob was telling him about it, why would he believe it now? I'm telling you, Rick did kill most of his people at tournaments, so I'm guessing Garrett don't have that many people left. So when he was in the woods, he probably met some new people, and then so he probably told them about the lie to try to give them some motivation. Because like I said, he didn't believe Bob then. Why would he believe him now about a cure? The only reason Garrett said that in the woods by that fire was because he tried to convince the people that was with him. Because one, this possibly could happen. It's probably like this. It's probably one, the people that was with Garrett probably didn't want to fight no more. They was like, well, I'm tired. I don't want to fight no more. I don't want to die. So Garrett had to try to build a plan to try to make them help him out. So he probably lied to him and said, well, you know what? It's a guy that's in it's a guy that's in a group, and he know about a cure, but we have to get him, and then once we get him, we can go to Washington D.C. So see, he's trying to get more people, but I think he lied to some of the people that was in his group, or it could be new people he had met. So he decided to lie to him to try to get them to help him take out Rick and the rest of his group, or it could be the same people that was with him, or some of the people that escaped with him. And but for some reason but for some reason they were scared, that they were scared for their life, so or they didn't feel like fighting or nothing. So Garrett lied to them and told them about Washington D.C. and about a cure. Like I said, if he didn't believe Bob in that warehouse when Bob was telling him about it, why would he believe it now? He's just using he just took that story that Bob told him and he ran with it, try to motivate other people that he want to join him so he can, fight them. So I think I pretty much covered everything for this first discussion that I was talking about. I will do another video topic for The Walking Dead. I got a lot more stuff in the trailer I want to discuss. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a blessed day. God bless you all. Remember to subscribe. Thumbs up the video if it was okay. And like I said, I will have another Walking Dead topic coming out for the Walking Dead trailer, because I want to really break down all this stuff at once. So, peace.